When I first started Batman: A Death in the Family, I didn't immediately click with Jason Todd. Before the explosion, he came across as reckless, impulsive, and honestly kind of annoying. He jumped into fights too fast, ignored orders, and treated crime fighting like it was some sort of adrenaline rush instead of life or death. Compared to Dick Grayson, who feels controlled and disciplined, Jason looked like the unstable version of Robin. But at the same time, it's not random. You could tell this kid is who's grown up rough, carries a lot of anger, and trying to use Robin's role to prove something to himself, to Batman, maybe to the world that wrote him off. So for me, early on, I saw both sides of it. I understood why people didn't like him, but as much as the first Robin, but I also saw the messed up teenager who never really got the support, patience, or even healing that he needed. That tension is important because it sets up everything that happens later. As the story moves forward and Jason gets wrapped up in the search for his mother, my opinion of him started to kind of shift. It's easy at first to read him as just hot-headed, but once you see how desperate he is to find out who his real mother is, he becomes more human. This isn't just about being a cool sidekick, it's about their identity. When he thinks he's finally found her, there's this hopeful, almost vulnerable side to him. He wants answers. He wants that connection. He wants something in his life to be real and steady. And because we've seen his anger and frustration before, it hits harder when you see him chasing something as basic as a mom who might actually care. Then we get to Sheila and the Joker. And this is where everything snaps back into place. Jason ignores Batman's warning and runs straight into danger to protect his mother. On paper, it's another reckless Jason movement, but emotionally it makes sense. He's trying to save to that one person he just got back. He refuses to abandon her. Even when it's an obvious trap, Joker's going to beat him. He leaves him on the floor, and Jason still drags him toward his room to try to save her. That's not just the annoying Robin anymore. That's the kid who is loyal, stubborn, and brave in every raw way. So when the warehouse explodes, it doesn't feel like some edgy comic book twist. It feels cruel. I didn't feel satisfaction. I felt like I underestimated him. Based on all that, my vote was to kill Jason Todd and have him die. Not because I thought he deserved it, but because within the story, his death forces the world of Batman to actually deal with the consequences. Comics usually hit this reset button. Here, they don't. Choosing the death makes the story heavier and more honest about what it means to be a broken teenager into this violent life. His flaws, like his anger, impulse, and even disobedience, aren't just like character quirks anymore. They become a part of a tragic arc that exposes bigger problems. Batman's choices, the danger of this job, the cost of letting a kid stand next to someone like the Joker, letting have him live would have been safer emotionally. But having him die makes the story linger. It makes the phone and choice uncomfortable, which I think is the point. Readers want darker stories than they had to face what they actually look like. Like when the target is a kid, they've been judging the whole time. The aftermath is where the book really lands for me, especially when it changes Batman. After Jason's death, Batman doesn't just move on to the next villain. You could feel how much this breaks him. He becomes colder, relentless, less patience with really everyone around him. There's a weight to the way he talks about Jason. Like he knows this wasn't just one bad mission. This was a failure as a mentor and basically as a father figure. He chose Jason. He trained him, put him on the field. Now he has to live with the idea that his mission, his rules, his judgment got the kid killed. Joker gets political protection on top of everything, which makes it so much worse. Batman is forced to play by the rules that let Jason's killer walk around with immunity. That frustration shows a different side of him. He's still holding a line and not killing Joker, but you could tell it's not easy. Jason's death pushes him close to the edge, and I think that's a huge shift. It also changes the way we see Robin's role. With Dick Grayson, Robin looked like this hopeful, bright balance to Batman. After Jason looks like dangerous. It looks like something that you might be too much for a damaged kid. You see why Batman becomes more guarded, why he hesitates, why later Robins are a bigger emotional risk. Jason's death doesn't just affect one storyline, it reshapes Batman's whole emotional world. Overall, I would say Batman: A Death in the Family isn't perfect, but it's important in honesty. It still hits. Parts of it are over the top. The global politics, Joker's wild roles, the dramatic twists, and underneath all that, there's still that real emotional core. Jason Todd is written in a way that almost dares readers not to like him. And then asks, okay, what does it mean when you're given the power to decide if this kid lives or dies? The phone vote idea turns the audience into part of the story. It exposes how people react to difficult characters, especially when they're young and flawed. For me, by then, Jason isn't just the worst Robin. He's a tragic character who never really got fully protected by Gotham, Batman, or even the fans. Because of that, my evaluation of this graphic novel is that it succeeds more than it fails. It raises the stakes for Batman. It honestly challenges the idea that sidekicks are disposable. It forced us to think about violence, responsibility, and how easy it is to sit back and judge a character. Until suddenly, their fate is basically in your hands. It's uncomfortable in the right ways. And even if some plot choices are extreme, the emotional payoff with Jason and Batman makes it worth taking seriously and more emotional.